Wait,
Hello,
no, I'm not
everybody.
ready.
Damn it! Wait, you're not ready? Okay, well, I was gonna do a whole big introduction, and now it's like, okay, well,
Hey
good,
everyone!
good. Okay, I was gonna do the introduction. Now you're just taking my fucking limelight. Jesus Christ! How could you, Vino? You're ruining it.
Hey, man, listen. That's it. I
I'm
just wanted.
listening.
No, that's it.
Anyway, hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about video games, which
Yeah.
is something that a very unique topic, never been done before. There totally aren't complete podcasts that are devoted to this topic, but we're gonna give our 2 cents, and that's the introduction out of the way. Once again, my name is Mal. That's Mallardant. I'm a duck. And everyone else do their little introductions, I guess.
Hey, I'm Trevor. I am a mouse, and I'm an artist too. I mean, I guess I should probably put that out there again as
I
well.
should probably mention that too. I also am an artist.
And I'm Vinomath. Snow Leopard. I'm not an artist. I'm the odd one of the group.
What do you do? Tell the people. We know what you do, but tell the people what you do.
I make funky, fresh rhymes.
Yeah, he's a rap artist.
Well,
Heard
no
it
offense.
here first.
Nah,
Now that you're throwing that out there, I want to hear you actually rap. I want to hear you actually try it now.
Give me something to rap about. Give me something to rap about, and I'll do it.
A rap about Twizzlers.
Give me something easier to rhyme with.
If you were a real pro rapper, you would be able to work with that, Vino. That's the point here. I guess you're not as pro as we thought you were. You're supposed to just be able to pull it right out immediately without any effort.
You're putting words in my mouth. I never said I was pro. I just said I made them.
Well, I guess it's my fault for holding you to a higher standard. I should think lesser of you now.
Yeah, you know me for a year. Expect less from me.
Oh man, but yeah, video games. So, what are we gonna start with, everybody? I know a certain individual is a fan of a not very popular, little-known game franchise known as Halo.
That's true. Okay, so that's me he's talking about. In case that wasn't obvious. So Xbox recently, they've come out. This was about, I think, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago since we recorded. So Microsoft, they did like a little showcase because like there's no E3 this year, so everyone knows why at this point. So they didn't do an E3, so Microsoft kind of did their own thing. They showed a lot of their games. I don't think they showed anything that interesting. Showed Psychonauts 2, which I'm still incredibly nervously optimistic for.
Yeah, same here.
Double Fine hasn't really made a good game since the first Psychonauts. First Psychonauts, though, goddamn, is that game a masterpiece?
Yeah, I second that. I second that. But it feels like it was almost like what's the term for it?
A fluke?
Like a fluke. I was gonna say something more poetic than that, but yeah, a fluke.
It was like small aside, but like goddamn, what a perfect game! Like one of the best games ever made that so many people didn't play. But now people know about it because actually, I honestly don't know how the game got popular again. Like it went from no one knowing, just a lot of people knowing about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I legitimately wonder, did it have to do with like Richard Horvitz being more common as a voice actor? You know, I don't know, because for me it just kind of, I was always passively aware of the game, but I didn't have like a drive to play it until you recommended it to me. So I'm not really sure how it came to quote unquote prominence either.
Yeah, it was weird because like I think maybe part of it had to do with like it got released on Steam and so more people knew about it because originally it was only on Xbox and PlayStation 2, and then I know it eventually got Xbox 360 Arcade got it, and then it went on Steam, which probably played into more people knowing about it, which by the way, if anyone listening has not played Psychonauts, I recommend getting yours, your mom's, or your dad's credit card, whichever one, going on Steam and purchasing the game, because it is one of the best games ever made. One of the most of witty and original and honestly beautiful games. Like some of the level design in that game is like, oh my god, it's beautiful. Like I know Mal noted the Edgar stage, where it's like in Spain. It's all neon.
Yeah.
No, I would fall into that category. I've never played it.
All right. Well, as mentioned, you should go around. But so small sidebar. Psychonauts, very good game. Rest of Double Fine's library, not so much. Don't ever play Brutal Legend unless you want to play a really shitty tower defense game and one of the most wasted concepts ever made.
Or unless that game. Okay.
Or unless you really, really, really like Jack Black's voice.
That's pretty much the only. It's like Jack Black's all over it. The concept. I'm sorry.
That's the only thing I knew about Brutal Legend. They pretty much took Jack Black from School of Rock and put him into a game.
That's pretty much what it was. I remember when I was like a kid. I was like, I don't even know how old I was. I was like a little kid. Cause I went to Blockbuster and I rented Psychonauts because like I would just my parents had a Blockbuster membership, so like I'd go with them and I'd get a game every week. And one of those games was Psychonauts, and I'm like, oh my kid, I'm playing as a kid. I'm like, oh my god, this game's incredible. And then I heard they were doing another game, Double Fine. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be great. I have to get it. So I go to Blockbuster. I'm all excited. I got Jack Black's Crazy Adventure in my hands. I get home. I put it in the Xbox. I start playing. It's like, okay, this is cool. I like this concept. And then like it starts off interesting enough. It's like it's this weird like vehicle segment. I'm like, okay, that was kind of weird. But surely this is gonna be like a hack and slash game, right? Because it's what it made it all look like. And then you start playing a shitty version of StarCraft.
See, that's weird. The only thing I know about the game is because Jack Black has his little YouTube channel called Jablinski Games.
Mm.
He played Brutal Legends on there for like a few episodes, but he never got to the tower defense part of it. It was all just like the hack and slash stuff, and even the hack and slash mechanics looked pretty basic. It wasn't like anything fancy, but I'm like, okay, whatever. So like, when you say it becomes a tower defense game, it's like, what the fuck? How do you get to that point?
And it's like more than like 3/4 of the game is this tower defense, and it's not fun. Like it's just like it's so bad. Like fucking Balloon's Tower Defense, that one Flash game from like 2001 is more fun than this game made in like 2008. God. They keep pushing you on it too. It's like every boss fight is that. It's like if like all the like efforts went into the tower defense aspect, but like none of them went into like the hack. Like if it was hack and slash, I think the game would have had a lot more potential because it's like it's a heavy metal theme. Like you can fit into that niche like really nice and smoothly, and they just don't.
When I think of heavy metal, I don't think of like a slow-paced tower defense game. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Were those like? I don't even remember those being all the rage at the time.
They were. That's like StarCraft 2 was like I think maybe at like around like the height of its popularity is like the closest thing. But like outside of that, like people weren't making tower defense games. People like the only tower defense game people make now is like mobile games or Plants vs Zombies, and that's like it.
Anyway, you were gonna talk about not heavy metal games, but sci-fi games, specifically Halo.
So that small rant aside, so one of the things they showed off during the thing was Halo. Like it's Microsoft's like one of the like fucking like 3 exclusive games. Like what a lot of people like saw and like. I feel like people who like are lesser like familiar with Halo and why people like a lot of people, myself included, fell out of the series was like when they saw like they brought sprinting back. And this seems like a minor thing. It's like it's sprinting, who cares? But like part of the reason that like that's like the detriment is because like Halo, when it came out, it was revolutionary. Like no other game was like Halo when it came out. Like there was no sprint button, there was no aiming down the sights. It was like a sci-fi like Quake for people who've played Quake.
I didn't even know all this actually. This is all new to me. I didn't know Halo revolutionized it.
Halo pretty much actually like, not even revolutionary. They pretty much made like the console FPS. Like before that, like they were just PC ports or like the original Call of Duties or like whatever. But like Halo was like what was considered to be like the first like good like console FPS. Like it wasn't on PC. It came out on PC later, but originally it was an Xbox exclusive. It like was pretty much one of the big things that like drove like LAN parties to become a thing. Like it was a very like big milestone in like video games, and it was super original and like a lot of people like. And Halo 1, 2, and 3, fantastic trilogy except for the flood levels in the campaign. Those are garbage, but that's a small aside. But and then they did ODST, which was it's like a fucking hour-long game. It's just pretty much it's like a side DLC essentially. And then they did Halo Reach. And then after that, not Halo, Bungie, the people who made it, was like, okay, we're done. But Microsoft, they didn't like that because Halo was putting, because Microsoft at the time, their only exclusives were like Gears of War and Halo ended, and like Gears of War was also supposed to end.
So straight up, Bungie was done making Halo games, and they were gonna move on to something else. I didn't realize that they were done.
Yeah, like
Wow.
like after like I think they were gonna be done after 3, but then they decided, okay, we're gonna do ODST and Reach, and then Reach are like, okay, we're done. And then that's when 343, which were like, it's like some company that really likes Bungie, and then they came along and they're like, we're gonna keep making these games for Microsoft. Like originally they just did like a Super City, like I think it was called like Halo Waypoint. It was a city app nobody used. But and then during the 343 era, that's when we got Halo 4, which was kind of like for a lot of people like it's like I don't know about this anymore. Like I think Halo 4 had no, I don't actually remember this. I think Halo 4 had constant sprinting, like all the guns you can aim down the sights, and like it started losing the charm that made Halo like so unique as a video game. Because like the reason Halo was like so fun and so popular is because there wasn't really another game quite like Halo. Like the gunplay was unlike any other game, the maps were like any other game, and as Halo like progressed in the 343 era, it just became more and more generic. Like Halo 5 and like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, they play like the same. Like there's practically no difference between the two. You'll get the same experience just with a different label on it. And that's
Right.
and that's like a lot of the reason why like, the people have fallen out of Halo. Like it's not like we see sprinting, we hate sprinting, because Halo Reach had sprinting, but the way they handle it, and it was like an ability, and like it was you can only sprint for so long, and it's like okay, that's cool. Like it limits you in like a unique kind of way. But then like it became a permanent feature, and they kept changing things, and it just left Halo just kind of has something that just kind of a cell of its former self, and it just kind of feels like any other generic FPS game out there. And that's why a lot of people have this kind of problem.
I wanted to bring up a video that I saw recently. It was by Chris Raygun, and he talks about the video is called "Make Halo Great Again,"
Okay.
but he covered a lot of the same stuff that you do. And one of the things he brings up is that the original Halo that made it so good, there were no abilities.
Yeah.
Your abilities came from different types of guns. They came from vehicles. The reason that vehicles were so important was because they gave you an advantage over people. Like you traded off something, but you got an advantage in another way.
Right.
But because of like them adding sprinting and like making the character do everything, it has lessened the importance of vehicles.
Right.
It has changed map design because they have to make maps bigger because you're moving faster, and they have to accommodate for like anyone being able to sprint or climb or whatever.
Right.
And it's also changed the way that guns work because certain guns would fire slow, but now like a lot of guns are hit scan because they have to be able to keep up with characters. He goes on to say pretty much that the new Halo games are not bad games. Like they're fast paced, they're fun, but they're not what Halo used to be, and they're not why people fell in love with it in the first place.
Yeah, like I pretty much agree with like all of that. Like, because like a part of the reason like Halo was like so fun was because of just how like interactive you were with like all the maps. Like there were like power ups that give you more shield, health, power ups to make you invisible. The vehicles, especially in Halo 1, the vehicles were like best because like if you even were like tapped by a vehicle, you would die. Like
I remember that. First and foremost, didn't know you watched Chris Raygun, Trev. That's pretty badass. Secondly, I can attest to that element in Halo 1. My first exposure to Halo 1, I played it, I think it was in the year 2011, so really, really late to the punch there. But the reason why I did was because in my middle school, they gave school laptops out to students. They was issued by the school, and the laptops were complete garbage. They were the cheapest things they could possibly. They weren't even laptops. They were like little netbooks. They were the cheapest thing they could possibly get a hold of. And there were all kinds of restrictions on them. Like you basically had to use a VPN, like one of the old VPNs to access the internet or anything. But I figured out from a cousin of mine where you could download like a free PC version for the demo of Halo 1. And I would miraculously, it was able to run on this complete dog shit of a computer. So that's like the first time I played it. Like, people saw me playing Halo on my little shitty school issued laptop. I'm like, oh my god, dude, how'd you do that? So I wound up putting the file on a flash drive, like the .exe on a flash drive, and just it spread like a virus across the whole school. And I was actually able to play with a lot of people because of that. And all there was, it was just a base game. I think it's like the first level of the campaign, and then they had one multiplayer map, and that was Blood Gulch. And whenever I would always play it, and this is my first exposure to like the Halo franchise, was I realized immediately on that Blood Gulch map, you gotta get yourself on a fucking Banshee like immediately. Like you fucking like. It would always be a mad dash to get to the Banshees first. And because like I realized like whoever got the freaking Banshee, unless you could find the rocket launcher on that map, you were basically fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry, my dog distracted me. You're fine. I lost my train of thought. Fuck, I got this. I can do this. I believe in myself. I believe.
Dang it, I wanted to hear your insight. I wanted to hear your valuable insight, Vino.
Oh, okay, I remember that. So, like,
Yay.
So, like, that's a part of, like, the charm of Halo. It's, like, because, like, vehicles are really good, but at the same time, like, they're vulnerable to stuff like rockets, and, like, only so many, like, rocket launchers spawn on the map, and only so many vehicles spawn on the map. So it becomes, like, kind of like a back and forth kind of control. It's like, okay, you play with the gun you can find, so you can like counter. Because everything in Halo like had a counter. Like vehicles counted like people on the ground, rockets counted people in vehicles. Like this kind of rock paper scissors kind of chain. And then when it has like the series progressed, like you have like I think it kind of started in the Halo Reach, and the Halo 4 kind of finalized it. Like you have like loadouts. And it kind of just made the point was like looking around the map for those weapons just were kind of a non-factor because you spawn with the best weapon. Not to say you didn't spawn the best weapon in Halo 1, because holy fuck, the pistol is so fucking overpowered in Halo 1. It's legitimately better than like any other gun in that game. It's pretty much a long-range sniper rifle.
Wait, for real? I never even tried using it.
No, it legitimately, like the range on the pistol pretty much can cover like the whole map almost. And, like, it does a lot of damage. Like, it doesn't have, like, damage drop-off. Like, the pistol is genuinely the best gun in Halo 1. Like, not even, like, in a choking way.
That's hilarious.
I wish I had known that when I was playing. I would just go for, like, the needler and be like, that's the best gun because it homes. It has the bullets at home. It's really good.
But, I remember, like, I don't know if you guys cared about Halo when this was going on, but, like, because, like, in Halo 1, the pistol could, like, zoom in, and, like, you could shoot while it was zoomed in, and then because the pistol was so good, they took that out in Halo 2, and it didn't come back in 3. So when ODST came out, like, they made, like, a huge deal, like, you can zoom in with the pistol again, and you can shoot it again. Like, that was, like, a selling point for ODST.
That's kind of pathetic.
It was something, like, so minor, but, like, because, like, it wasn't, like, an important aspect. It was, like, one of those things where they show, like, the big trailer, and, like, at the end, it's like, okay, it's all over, and so you want that one little surprise. I think like at the end of the trailer, they just show like the ODST like a first person like POV of like how like the HUD is, zooming in and shooting, and just everyone fucking lost their mind. It's like it zooms again.
So I wanted to bring up my experience with Halo because I never got into Halo when it was first out. I never had an Xbox. I always heard about how much everyone loved it, and it was such a great game, but I never really had an opportunity to try it or play it. When I went to college, there was like this deal for Xbox Gold, so my friend got Halo 4, and we were playing that together. And that was the first Halo game I ever got to try, was Halo 4. We played through the game, beat it. It was enjoyable, but I was like, I don't understand what's so special about this. Like, everyone talks about Halo, like, it's so great, and this just felt very basic, by the book. Didn't stand out. Everything kind of blurred together. I remember like two or three things from the game, but the technical segments weren't fun. They were just kind of in there. I didn't really get it. With the Master Chief Collection, I got to go back and play the first Halo games, and I just want to say, as someone who started with Halo 4, playing Halo 1, I can honestly understand why everyone loved it at the time. I think it's actually held up that well. I don't have any nostalgia for it, but putting myself back in the mindset of other games that were out at that time that I played, like Time Splitters or like James Bond shooter games, I understand why people loved Halo so much. It actually had a story, which most FPS games, I would say back then, outside of like Call of Duty, didn't really attempt to tell a super gripping narrative.
Yeah.
And even then, Call of Duty was very much in the World War II era of let's just kill Nazis, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It was. And so, like, going back to the first Halo game and seeing, like, how well it's done, how the guns work, how the enemies work, how the stories and stuff, I can understand why people liked it.
And also, was it the first, maybe not the first, but was it one the first popularized sci-fi themed first person? That's
I think it depends on definition, because like you can argue like Doom and Wolfenstein is sci-fi.
True.
It kind of depends on what your sci-fi definition is. So as far as like consoles, I would say yes, but when it comes to like in general, I think it just depends. I would probably say Doom is, but it depends on your sci-fi definition.
That is very true. Yeah. I will tell you, like, Halo, as far as like having like, you know, soldiers and power armor and all this stuff, and like, and it being set, a lot of it, you know, being set in space, also like that's like the quintessential of sci-fi. So it's like a double dose of it.
Right, and like circling back to what Trevor said, it was, as far as like sci-fi like FPS games go, it was like the first one to really like actually like tell like an original story, because like Call of Duty's like those are loosely based on like real events, like World Wars, Vietnam War, whatever, depending on which one you're playing. While Halo, it's like it's fully original. Like these people like they didn't like have anything like to base off of, and like they did like a good job. Like it's a good story. Like it's not a bad story by any means.
Yeah, and that's something I can't actually attest to, because I remember for Halo 1 I only played the first campaign mission and then like that one multiplayer map. So I'm a little bit boxed in when it comes to the story, but like it is interesting to hear that it was, you know, very groundbreaking in that regard with its single player, you know.
Yeah, like it was, well, like that's a part of like a lot of reason like a lot of people liked it, and like it's so beloved because a lot of people have fond memories of that, and like because and as far as the campaign goes, like one of the things I do like about Master Chief Collection is like they had co-op to it, and like co-op was never like in the original Halo 1. Like you had to jump through a bunch of hoops for like modding, but like when Master Chief Collection came out, like you could finally like play all the Halos like in co-op, which was so you can like kind of like it almost enhances the experience, because you can be like two people like reminiscing, or you can be like me and a friend have been playing through all the Halos co-op, and like he hasn't played the Halo campaigns before, so it's like I know what's happening. I get to like see and like hear his first experience with it all, and like it's not like they're like unloyal, because if the Master Chief Collection campaigns, they're with the remasters, like the updated graphics and everything, and like they're faithful. Like they're not changing like dialogue, they're not changing. I don't think they even change voice actors. So you get the same experience you would have like if you're playing like the original copies, and that's a part of the reason why I think Master Chief Collection is a really a good like deal.
That's badass. I didn't even know the co-op thing was doable. That's totally new to me. That's fantastic. I got to try that.
I think the first time it was you could ever play Halo co-op was Halo 3. It might have been in 2, but I know in 2 I think it was only one player. But I think in Master Chief Collection you do up to 4. I know in Halo 1 you used to only be able to do 2, but I think now you can do 4. I might be wrong on that.
You can only do 2 in Halo 1 and 2, and I think for all the other ones you can do 4. Okay. I think.
The one thing that's like about Master Chief Collection was just it's a really great game now. Cause did you guys ever just actually I know Trevor, I know you've played it. Did you play it when like it first came out, like on the Xbox?
No.
Okay. Let me tell you something. You dodged a fucking bullet. That game was such a train wreck when it first came out.
Why?
So, for one, if you wanted to play multiplayer, it took a solid like 20 minutes to maybe find the game. It's a hard maybe. If you wanted to play co-op, you could, but there was like, I'm not exaggerating, like a 3-second button delay on whoever wasn't the host. And like it was bad for like a year before they finally fixed it. And you know what they gave the people, the people who supported this game day one?
What?
They gave them a 0 gamer score achievement.
A 0 gamer score?
You got an achievement that pretty much just says, I bought this game day one and suffered, so you don't have to. That's pretty much all you got out of it.
Wow.
A special little trinket that says, I suffered more than you did, huh?
Pretty much.
I will say there is still some button input delay on co-op in the Master Chief Collection, because I've noticed it when I've joined the game. Funny thing is, I can swing my mouse left and right, and it's like 1-to-1, but the second I step forward, it takes like about half a second before it...
Oh my god. I don't know if that's like a PC exclusive thing or like a host thing, but like either way, it's like the fact that like, because I know that they recently put it to PC, like the fact that like there's still button delay issues. Excuse me. The fact that there's still button delay issues is so fucking ridiculous to me, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you don't have to do. This game is built on other games. You just need to build a netcode. How is it that hard?
I definitely don't know the technical stuff behind it, but I would think that it would be something that'd be important to fix.
It's like, it's a one thing if like the game is like brand new. It's like it's annoying, but sure. But they already have established, because the PC one came out I think like 2-3 years later after the Xbox one, so they already went through all that, and it's still fucking present in the PC version. It's like, how did you not learn anything between then and now? Like, people hated Master Chief Collection when it came up because of that reason. Like, I wanted to love it because it was Halo 1, 2, and 3 are like some of my favorite games, and like it's like all 3 in one. It's like, sign me the fuck up. I wanted so bad to love it. They made it so fucking hard to love that game. To even like that game on the release. Like, oh my god. The fact that like it still like survived through all of that is honestly impressive to me.
Well, let's just say there's a reason why there's a mixed perception around Halo now.
Yeah.
I think that much is clear.
Yeah, it's a matter of like it's lost a lot of its originality and like what made Halo like special and unique, and now it's like if I play Call of Duty, I get the same experience. With Call of Duty, it's a whole other can of worms.
Like, it's not just Halo. Like, there's other games going through this identity crisis too. The two that come to my mind are like Gears of War and Paper Mario.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Paper Mario. That's just so tragic. I could go on about that one for a while.
My friend was like showing me some funny clips from like the new Paper Mario game, and he's like, it still seems like it's really funny. I'm like, oh yeah. I said, that's the thing. People don't have a problem with the writing. The writing is really good, and throughout the entire series, I would say that has remained really strong. So people don't talk about it because it's good. They like it. It's funny. I said the part that people talk about is, it's not an RPG anymore. They constantly do these new game mechanics that just aren't fun. It's a short playthrough, and they just want like a fun RPG game.
What I am wondering, as far as like the writing is concerned, I stopped playing the Paper Mario games after Super Paper Mario, but have they maintained in more recent games like Bowser's kind of personality, like having Bowser talk and have dialogue and stuff? Because I heard they kind of started to eliminate that, which is one of my favorite things about the original.
I can't speak for Color Splash or Origami King because I played Sticker Star and I vowed I'd never play another Paper Mario game after that because it was so bad. And I will always play a new one if they go back to the RPG mechanics.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bowser was just like, oh, ha, ha, I have the power. Come fight me, Mario. And then he like just fucks off for the rest of the game, and you have to get to him.
I'm like, yay! So he's just like Bowser in literally every other Mario game. Yay! It's And one thing I also liked in the original games is they really tried to have the individual party members have personality. Like, I mean, just from a design standpoint too, like example, like Coops in Thousand Year Door, like he has like a light blue jacket and everything. He has like distinct shoes. Like he stands out from all the other Koopas. But if you look at especially like the most recent game, the Origami one, all of your party members are just default enemies. Like you have like a Kamek, you have or Magikuba, whatever you want to call them. You have like a Babam. Like they don't stand out. They're just kind of there. Now I can't speak to the writing quality as far as the dialogue is concerned, but that element alone is enough to make me kind of nervous. Okay, guys, are these characters really going to be unique? Are they really going to stand out if that's what you're going with for their design?
Oh, they did the same thing when they kind of like remastered the Mario and Luigi series to try and like bring that back, and it failed. But they took away all the interesting designs and replaced them with generic toads.
I adored the sprites in that game, like the art direction. Like I love the cartoony art style. I've never seen like Mario have that before, and not really ever since either. And so when they essentially, in my mind, they just kind of sanitized it and put it like it made it look like all the other Mario games. I'm just kind of like, it lost its soul in a way.
Oh yeah, it's really disappointing.
Yeah, like it's definitely one of those like series, kind of both them. Though it kind of needs that like fresh, like okay, like it needs a new like the new Super Mario Bros. Treatment. It's like okay, let's get back to basics. This is what people like.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would create a benefit.
I feel like also the problem, because you were getting into gameplay, Trev, they feel like they need to reinvent the wheel every time. Because cause that's what they do. Like the first two Paper Mario games are like, okay, look, we have RPG mechanics. Thousand Year Door did a really good job refining that. But now they have this philosophy of, okay, we got to add like the sticker element. Okay, now we have to make paint a thing. It's what Color Splash was. Now they're like, okay, we have like this origami motif and everything. And I think it's cool to try new things, but I feel like they're so obsessed with just deviating from the formula. It almost seems like they don't have confidence in the formula, which is what made the first two Paper Mario games, the second one especially, so fantastic and so revered, you know?
Like, I blame Miyamoto for that because, like,
I do too.
Miyamoto to me is a lot like George Lucas. They're both incredibly creative people that can come up with some fantastic ideas, but they have to be reined in because they take it too far sometimes.
Yeah. That kind of ties back to my like general philosophy of I don't necessarily think, and this for artists, I guess this take can be a little controversial sometimes, but I don't think completely uninhibited creativity is a good thing. I think it can be good in like the planning phases, but there comes a point when you have to start to tamper it down. You have to hear other points of view. You have to figure out, okay, what's feasible, what's not.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. Yeah.
And to Miyamoto's credit, I imagine in his mind, we gotta make this more interesting, because Paper Mario isn't our biggest franchise, so we gotta add something new and zany, a new gameplay mechanic. But he just doesn't understand why the games were successful to begin with.
Right.
It was because of the mechanics. It was because of the foundation that you built them upon.
Right.
And it wasn't because they want to see something new. No. You already had an audience for these games, but yet you're trying to reinvent the wheel, and you don't even really have to. And all you're doing is turning people like me and Trevor, who really do love these games, away from it.
Yeah, I think part of the like reason that like became like an issue with like Paper Mario in particular is because like Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi were like kind of going on at the same time, and like they like want to be like, okay, how do we make these franchises like differential from each other? Because like they're like at the like core, not like getting into like the details. They're similar games, but then
they are,
and they want to like, okay, we want to individualize these more. I wouldn't say it worked. I feel like Paper Mario suffered a lot more than Mario and Luigi, especially since they just kind of abandoned Mario and Luigi for some reason.
Yeah, they pretty much did, unfortunately.
But and they kept going with Paper Mario, but like they just kind of never. They just kept doing more and more, and this kind of became a thing where it's like, at a point it becomes too far, and you need that kind of soft reset, as it were.
And what's funny is the only reason why Paper Mario exists, like the original game that came out on the N64, is because, well, we need something that's not going to be super taxing on our system. Oh, I know. We'll just make the characters flat. We won't come up with all these models that have all this data. We make them flat, and we'll just call it Paper Mario, and we'll make it an actual stylistic element in the game. The hardware limitation turned into a stylistic choice, and I think that's really, really cool. But nowadays, I feel like they want to justify the paper element of it more, and I feel like that can be cool from a creative standpoint. But again, I think they've taken it so far to where they're sacrificing the core gameplay mechanics, and the game just is not appealing to me anymore. It feels like it's been dumbed down, watered down.
Right.
Yep, I agree with that completely.
But yeah, it's kind of the reason why I was hitting on the fact that Miyamoto wanted to make the games more appealing to like this audience. I think that similar thing is also why we haven't seen an F-Zero game in so long. Because say you got some devs at Nintendo who come up with a great idea for a new F-Zero game or some gameplay elements. I just have this picture in my head of like Miyamoto walking up behind them, placing his hand on their shoulder and saying, "Oh, so how's the new Mario Kart coming?"
It's just like, hey, that's a great idea. Let's put it in Nintendo land.
Yeah, and like, I can't even blame them completely for that, which sucks because, look, Mario Kart is one of the most successful franchises that Nintendo has. So if they want to be safe, yes, put it in Mario Kart. It's going to sell incredibly well. That's the bottom line. Why would Nintendo take a risk with a new F-Zero game? I mean, you'll make a few niche amount of people happy, but from a business standpoint, it doesn't make any sense, and I hate to say that. I really do, because I really want another F-Zero game. I love the original. I grew up playing, but it just from a business standpoint, I despise saying it, but I can kind of see why they haven't done another one for over a decade.
Right.
And that's kind of why I hate business, though, because, like, I don't know. I feel like every now and then you need to take risks and stuff. And I don't know. It's a conflicting thing because I definitely believe businesses should make money because they have to in order to stay in business, or you don't get stuff from them. So I don't fault any business for wanting to make money. But at the same time, I do fault businesses for only being about that. Businesses take it to the extreme where it's like, fuck the customer. All we care about is money. That's all we're giving. That's all that's the only reason we're creating stuff. It has nothing to do with fun.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When it comes to Mario Kart, it's the opposite. What if you think about it? It's because, like, people want, yeah, of course, like, people who are more into gaming like us want another F-Zero game, but the vast majority of people, like the average folks, the soccer moms who buy games for their kids, they know what Mario Kart is. They've never heard of F-Zero, and little kids who are like, under the age of 15, 20, they probably barely heard of F-Zero at all. No, they want another Mario Kart game. They want them. So by Nintendo continuing to make Mario Kart games, this is why it's even more frustrating. They are giving the customers what they want. They are. They're not even doing anything bad, but at the same time, it's like I would like them to take a risk. I want to see another F-Zero game. I'd love for them to do that, and people would lose their mind, but it's like I can totally understand why they're making that decision. It doesn't make me any happier, but
I feel like with how Nintendo is currently like functioning, for lack of a better word, I do think this is like the prime time frame for a new F-Zero to happen, and let me explain why I think that. Because it's no secret the Wii U didn't exactly please a lot of people. There were some good games on it, but overall, the Wii U there was little incentive to buy it outside of stuff like Mario Maker and Smash Brothers, maybe Mario Kart Splatoon.
Right, yeah.
And then the Switch comes out, and they're putting, because they know Nintendo, they know a lot of people skipped out on the Wii U for the other consoles for one reason or another. So they ported a lot of the old stuff, like Splatoon 2 is essentially Splatoon 1, but more. Mario Kart 8 they ported. They brought Super Mario Maker back. So all the Wii U games are coming to the Switch. And one of the things they did with the Wii U is they made a new Pikmin game. And I would probably lump Pikmin with the same popularity as F-Zero did. And I don't know how well Pikmin 3 sold, but they announced today, actually, at the time of recording this, that they're going to be porting Pikmin 3 over to the Switch. So, with that in mind, I do think that Nintendo, they've been more listening to, like, the things people, like, want, because, like, people wanted a new Metroid Prime game. We're getting Metroid Prime 4. They wanted Wii U games ported to the Switch. We're getting Wii U games ported to the Switch. People wanted Pokemon Snap 2. We're getting Pokemon Snap 2, which is fucking insane to me that that's even a thing, by the way.
Yeah, same here. I think a lot of that is because they know that they can take more risks now because the Switch is such a runaway success.
Right, and that leads into the point, because the Switch is like being super successful for them, and they can take those kind of risks, and they can try and bring back new and old IPs. It's like Pokemon. It has the Pokemon name recognizing, sir, and in F-Zero, like, you're gonna have people who've seen it. It's like, and like we know Captain Falcon from F-Zero. We're gonna see people who'll be like, so that's where Captain Falcon from Smash Bros. Is from, because like Smash is big right now. It's never not big, and
right.
like Captain Falcon's been in more fucking Smash games than F-Zero games at this point, which is ridiculous. But that's beside the point.
I mean, that's how Fire Emblem got big in the U.S. Because of Smash Brothers.
Like if Moth wasn't in Melee, Moth and Roy, like, I guarantee you Fire Emblem would not be popular here. But now it's like getting like Game of the Year at the Game Awards. But like, I think now is like the perfect climate for there to be an F-Zero, because Nintendo, they're bringing back old stuff. Like, they brought back Star Fox. Not to say that the new Star Fox was a good game, but that's beside the point.
It was an attempt, yeah.
I can't really speak directly to it. I never played it, but I've heard not many good things about it.
Yeah, I haven't played it either, but I remember hearing about it when it came out.
Star Fox Zero?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, Star Fox Zero, yeah.
I really like Star Fox Zero, but I understand people's complaints about it, and they're correct. The problem with Star Fox Zero is, one, forced motion controls. I got used to them, and I think anyone could get used to them, but the fact that they're forced and you can't turn them off is a turn off, especially when the game will function without them just fine. Two, it's a reboot again of Star Fox 1, and 64 was a reboot of Star Fox 1. So, both of those. So you're going back to the beginning, and it's Andros again, and it's the original Star Fox team, and there's no Crystal or anything, which some people are like, yay, no Crystal. But it's still a reboot again.
Right.
However, game was freaking fun. Like the path layouts, the way that you unlock different paths, there was a lot of side content to do. Not to mention it came bundled with another game, which was a tower defense game, so it was a bonus on top of it. It was a lot of fun, and there was some neat like mechanics in the game too. However, there was a story aspect I did not like as much. For James McCloud, it was more mystical in the original, where he kind of comes back as a ghost to help his son in a time of crisis. It's very simple, but you know, it's a little more mystical. It's like, was he there? Was he not there? He just kind of disappears after Fox gets out of the exploding like planet.
Right.
Our base. In the new game, Andros got trapped in another dimension, and James was also trapped in another dimension, and James shows up to lead you to Andros, and it's like, okay, he could still be a ghost, except for at the end, Andros is chasing you, and James shows up, and Andros directly confronts him, and it's like, James McCloud, why won't you die?
This sounds like some convoluted Doctor Who kind of shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better in my mind to just leave the mystery there, leave things unsaid, let the viewer's imagination fill in the gaps. I like that a lot more than just I'm not saying like always giving lore details is bad. I'm just saying there are times when it's not necessarily better, for lack of a better term.
Right.
I agree.
And I feel like one of the things with Star Fox 2 in particular is like, and at least in the ones that I've played, like James is kind of like how Trevor said, it's more like almost like an entity that he's not really like, he doesn't impact the story directly. He can impact the story like kind of like through Fox almost.
And he's mentioned through other characters like Peppy.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a meme at this point, but still, it's good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, I am glad that, like you were saying, Vino, there's a much higher chance of Nintendo giving some of these older IPs a shot just because they can afford to. There's not as much of a risk. Now, F-Zero, I'm still worried because Mario Kart is such a freaking cash cow. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's their most profitable franchise. I'm not an expert.
It's probably up there. I do think that like another reason, like it's probably like a lot of like franchises that Nintendo has like gone like a new game entry like semi recently. Like Fire Emblem obviously got one. Mario's gotten hundreds. I think we got a new Punch Out recently. I might be misremembering, but I feel like I heard that somewhere.
I'm not sure.
Well, the one on the Wii.
Yeah.
That by now it was like 15 years ago or something.
I know it's a long time ago now, but that game was so much fun. Like as far as like getting back Punch Out, they did a great job with that.
Yeah, like that was like such a good like reboot, because I think the only other Punch Out was like the Super Nintendo one until that point. And like that game was fucking fun. I remember playing that game a lot. And it's like even like Pikmin's coming back, and like Pikmin's here, like Fire Emblem, Earthbound's not coming back because the creator's done with it.
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere he doesn't want to make a new Mother game, so that game's maybe eventually we'll get Mother 3 localized.
I really hope so, because I'm probably just gonna wind up playing it on an emulator,
right.
But because I'm just like I'm tired of waiting, honestly. But I'm hoping that Nintendo is gonna be willing to take more risks now that they're riding the wave they are. Again, with F-Zero, I'm a little more worried because of how massive a franchise Mario Kart is, and compared to their other ones. Because think about like Star Fox, they don't really have another game like Star Fox. That's like like a rail shooter in space. They don't. But for F-Zero, they already have a racing game, and I think what they're trying to do is like trying to like appease the hardcore fans by like, oh look, you can ride the Blue Falcon or whatever, or I think that's what they're called in Mario Kart. And you can get like little Captain Falcon costumes for like your Mii's, or like I imagine they have like other little things like that to appease fans. And they're like, oh yeah, that's all we gotta do. It's fine. So I hope to be proven wrong on that. I hope that they wind up taking the risk, or the quote unquote risk. It still would sell incredibly well, but they're worried it's not going to sell as well as a Mario Kart.
Right, like that's like really like the one game that like I really want Nintendo to make. Like they can make any other game. I just really want them to make that, and I also want them to bring back Mario Party the way how it normally is, which they kind of did with Super. So they're getting there.
Yeah, they're getting there.
Also, with Mario Party, like after a while, they finally realized, okay, people are not liking this whole sharing the code thing. They finally like went back to basics. Do that with Paper Mario. It worked for Mario Party.
Yeah, I haven't played Mario Party in so long. I forgot there was a mechanic in there that was really dumb.
From what I heard, like Mario Party 9 had really fun mini games, but the actual like the boards were like super dumb because of like the card mechanic.
Yeah, I don't have a horse in the Mario Party race. I played the one that came out on GameCube, and I remember playing one game. I did absolutely terribly, and I rage quit, and I didn't want to play it anymore.
Mario Party, all right.
Yeah, and then but I've played the one on Switch a couple of times. One little gripe I have with it is when you're doing multiple players, they have to use Joy-Cons. You can't use the Pro Controller. You can't use any of the other peripherals they have. You have to use the Joy-Cons. And that's kind of what stopped me from playing it a lot, because I usually go over to a friend's house to play Smash, and we're like, okay, we're tired of Smash. Let's play something else. Let's play Mario Party. It's like, nope, unless you want to do 2 players, but that's no fun, you know?
I actually didn't know like you needed the Joy-Con for multiplayer in that one. I didn't know that.
It's stupid. It is. I don't even know why to have that requirement, but they do. But that said, barring that element, it's a really fun game. I have been able to play a few games in it before, despite the limitations. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now I can't compare it as much to the previous Mario Party games. I didn't play them too much growing up, but it's a really solid entry. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones for sure. Have you played a lot of Mario Party, Trevor?
I played 1, 2, a little bit of 3, and I think it was 5, 8, and that's it.
Dude, that's a lot. That's like
out of
four more games than I have.
Out of curiosity, which one would you say was the best one? If you remember?
2.
Right answer, my man.
2 was the one that I remember having the most fun with.
2 was so good.
It took the mechanics from the first game, expanded on them just a little bit, had the gimmick with the outfits that was really silly, but kind of made it exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Just fun. Mario Party was fun because you had the campaign, I guess it is, where you can play against people, but then you have the mini game tree where you can play all the games and you can unlock stuff, and there's just a lot of fun elements to it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything. Mario, I've played Mario Party 1 semi recently, and holy fuck, the game is so much more unforgiving than I remember it. You lose coins, you can lose stars really easy. That game is brutal. Mario Party 2, they toned it down, but not to the point where it's this isn't fun anymore. They toned it down to the level where it's there's bullshit, but it's not annoying bullshit. It's the fun kind of bullshit. And
I agree.
The maps are fun. I love the fact they dressed up as characters.
Sorry. I just want to say this really quick. The freaking first game destroyed my N64 controllers because you had to rotate.
Yeah.
From that, I got a blister on the center of my as a kid. It freaking hurt.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I also had that one rafting game. You gotta keep, and it's the only way you could win too. You had to use your palm. If you use your thumb, you lost.
The freaking Bowser tug of rope on very hard was almost impossible to beat. I finally beat it, but it destroyed my hand.
I remember Nintendo got in trouble and they had to send people gloves because people were messing up the hands because of the analog stick.
Damn, I had no idea it was that bad.
It's take it if you have a 964 controller, just put your palm and just spin the controller as fast as you can, and after a second you'll be oh yeah, I can see why there's a problem.
Yeah. One thing I was gonna say is I am but a mere plebeian. What console did Mario Party 2 come out on?
It was N64. 1, 2, and 3 were 64. 4, 5, 6, 7 were GameCube. 8 was Wii. 9 and 10 I think were Wii U, and then Super was Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just stopped numbering them because I guess when you get past 10, it's just okay.
I think a part of the reason too is because they wanted people to know we're kind of rebooting the franchise. We're gonna cut the weird gimmicks and kind of go back to the way things were.
Yeah. I can tell you as a plebeian, I really enjoyed Super Mario Party.
Super Mario Party is one of the better ones. I'd probably put it. I don't know if I put it in the top 5, but definitely the top 10. The best ones are 2, 3, 4 in that order.
So basically, the late N64 and then the first GameCube one.
Yeah, a lot of people liked 5. I never liked 5. I thought I didn't think the minigames were fun in 5. The boards were cool, but I didn't like the minigames.
Mm-hmm.
That's half of Mario Party.
Just as a quick aside here, I hear thunder outside. There is, all the clouds are in the distance. Clear blue skies above me, but gosh, that thunder sounds like it's right above me. So if I disappear, power just went out for a sec or whatever.
Okay.
Well, that's about as foreboding as it gets right there.
I did want to talk about a few things with games, and one of those things, I'll say world building for next time. I want to talk about scaling difficulty because I fucking hate it. It completely ruins a game's progression to me. With video games like Skyrim, there is scaling difficulty with enemies where you level up and eventually enemies also scale based off your level. And that's handled in a few different ways depending on the game. Sometimes, like, the enemies will scale to the level that you're at. Sometimes they just kind of scale to a point. Like, I believe Skyrim does it in this way, where you hit a level and all the enemies jump up to the next, like, difficulty level, which means that, you might get some different spawns, different types of enemies. They hit harder, and then you can get stronger than that. I'm still not a fan of it, but it's fine. I'm playing another game now called Remnant from the Ashes, and it also does scaling difficulty. But the way it works is it's a bit randomized where you play through the campaign and you get sort of a randomized layout for your world. You play through an area, and at the end of an area, there's like a doorway to move to the next area, which could be a boss fight, or it could just be another little location to run through. If you're in an area, you can collect items, gather money, and then go back to base and upgrade. And when you come back to that area, you'll be better off. You'll be a higher level than the monsters there. But as soon as you move to the next area, everything scales up to your level, or depending on where you are in the game, it might scale a little bit above you. So you only get the sense of empowerment for a very fleeting moment. It makes upgrading feel negligible to me. Like, there's no point in it. There's only a temporary boost, and then you're done. You like spend, like, things cost resources. They cost more intense resources as you go along to upgrade them to the highest levels. Like, you have to have rarer resources. And that gets really frustrating when everything continually scales to your level every time you move to a new area. I can't stand scaling difficulty because, in my opinion, it ruins the sense of progression that you get from upgrading and getting stronger. Now, I understand. Sorry, I'm almost done. I understand that they do it in order to prevent you from getting bored, as it were. Like, it keeps the game interesting because you don't get too powerful. But part of the reason that RPGs are so fun is of putting in a lot of work and eventually getting to that god tier status.
I think scaling difficulty is not a bad thing. In fact, I think it's important in games. What matters is how you do it. Because from a gameplay standpoint, yeah, of course you need to upgrade your character because you're not going to be able to win in any RPG. For instance, if you don't level, if your character never gained any levels or never gained any new abilities, yeah, you would be completely destroyed. The answer is to do so in a way that's gradual rather than what you're describing, where it's like, okay, next stage, boom, now everything's way more powerful than what you want is you want it to be gradual to a point where the player doesn't notice. It feels natural. Yes, things are getting harder. Yes, they're having to make use of these new abilities and these new stats. But it doesn't feel like a light switch. Also, you probably should have, I'm not a game developer, so I'm just postulating, but in my mind, you should also have the leveling set to where, say your player decides to level grind, say they get lucky and they get a really, really good loot item or whatever, then they can feel that as special, that special amount of like power that they would normally. That's why you want to have items there, so that whenever you do feel overpowered, it feels earned, but yet also that doesn't last forever. The answer isn't to just flip a light switch. Okay, new area, boom. Now you're a weak little guy who can't do anything, whatever, get good, son. You want to do it in a way to where, yeah, that really cool loot item that you got that makes you strong won't be as great forever, but you'll get good use out of it, and you'll get good use out of it, and you won't feel robbed because the difficulty will progress in a gradual sense. Kind of like, yeah, that's really what you're out of. That's really what you're after, it being executed properly.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, and I want to clarify, I don't mean like the game getting harder as you progress. That's not what I'm talking about, because RPGs do that. It's like, oh, I'm past the beginner area. What? Why are these enemies harder? Like, of course they're going to be harder. I'm talking about using the same enemies and just scaling those enemies up every time you level up.
Oh! I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that was that's criminal, dude. Like it's
Yeah.
That's doubly bad. Not only is it like you go to a new area and boom, they're way more powerful, like on a light switch. But if they look the same, no, upgrading would feel mundane. You're not gonna feel cool. It's gonna feel like, oh, yep, this is what I gotta do to beat the game. Whatever, that's insane, dude.
Yeah, I realized that I wasn't super clear about that, but yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. That's what Skyrim does too, to a less egregious degree, which is why I kind of give it a pass. I'm still not a fan of it. That was the first time I was introduced to it. And then I've just seen very poor iterations of it done in a few games, but the recent one being Remnant from the Ashes. I like the game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And the fact that I can still level up to a point to get stronger is fine, but man, it really does kill like the excitement of upgrading your stuff when it's just like, well, everything's just my level, the next area, so
Yeah, because the devs want you to get that dopamine hit, which is kind of the goal of all games. When you upgrade, you get that little bit of dopamine, and you're always looking forward to the next time you get it. But when you make the upgrades feel so, they're so you showcase how much of a necessity they are. It feels almost like robotic and meaningless and lifeless, and like honestly, dude, I am glad that like you were saying, I am glad that despite that less than fleshed out mechanic, you're able to enjoy this. That the other elements must be pretty solid.
I honestly, yeah, I think they are. I think it's got some unique guns. It's got fun gunplay. It's a third-person shooter type of game. It doesn't rely heavily on cover mechanics. The abilities are fun. It's fun to fight enemies, and there are a variety. There's only like 3 and 4 if you have the DLC types of areas in the game, but the enemy variety is pretty good, and there is a lot of bosses that are pretty unique and varied. So it has a lot of strong elements to it. But God, that upgrade system, man, I can't stand it.
So, does the game have a good art direction? Because that can really make or break a game.
It's okay. It's not bad. It's good. I would say it's good, but it's not really better than that.
At least it's good enough to keep you playing. I guess that's the goal of it.
Yeah.
Can get into like the whole world building thing you talked about, Trev, next time around. But this time around, yeah, I think we covered a lot of pro gamer topics this time. I feel cool. I feel enlightened, and I feel like I'm ready to go down a pitcher of Mount Dew. How about you guys?
Hell yeah!
Oh, I can totally do that.
You do the do. You do the do. To coin a phrase that.
Mountain Dew is so good.
What's your favorite Mountain Dew flavor? As a quick aside.
Voltage.
I 100% agree.
Voltage, yeah. Okay,
oh,
we
voltage.
all agree on this now.
It's voltage is that good.
Okay, so the official beverage of Tangled Wires is Voltage Mountain Dew. This is 100% the sponsorship. I don't know. we look really cool. I think our time is just about up, actually.
Yes, sir. I'm going for a little over an hour with a very video game filled episode this week. Where there's the Wired part. You got it. Now you know why.
There we go. That's where our name comes from. Do we have to talk about video games from now on so we can live up to our name?
No. Next time we're gonna talk about HDMI cables and which is the best for you. Which
Oh,
HDMI cable are you based on your personality?
No, I have to get to my world building rant.
Well, hey, we can fit both in. We can talk about HDMI cables and world building.
We can world build with HDMI cables.
One of these things is not like the others.
Thank you for watching Tangled Wires, second episode.
They didn't watch anything. They didn't watch anything. They just heard.
They could have been watching at the plain text, yellow text on a black background, unless we change it by the time this goes up.
please, listeners, be productive while you listen to our podcast. Don't stare at the base screen that you're looking at.
Okay. How do we say the last word?
Do, drink Mountain Dew, voltage.